Hi, John Wilkins here, the Data Diplomat. I am here presenting a webinar version of the workshop that I just conducted this past week at the Angel Capital Summit here in Denver, Colorado on December 6th. The workshop was entitled Find 10,000 Customers in 10 Seconds, which it's a pretty good title, more of a marketing title to get people into to listen to the workshop. But what you'll find here is there's a lot of different ideas, a lot of information about data and how it can be useful in your company. So let's dive right in here. We're going to start out with definitions of database marketing, which if you Google database marketing, you come up with a couple definitions that are fairly intimidating, sort of technical in some ways, and they use a little bit of jargon. But when you go to answers.com, same sort of thing, but a little less intimidating. The words that they use are a little bit more down to earth and more for someone who understands marketing. It's defined a little differently than the last two that were a little more technical. My definition as a data diplomat really is database marketing is gathering and analyzing data and storing it somewhere to make better decisions for your company moving forward, or your business, or your service, or whatever you have. But it's taking the most basic definition of database marketing. It's storing and gathering and analyzing and tracking and putting it all in one place in a consistent format so that you can make good decisions for your company or business. Now, there are different types of data, and I start looking at in-house data, which is data that your company stores. It could be in a box on a spreadsheet. You could have a spreadsheet of 1,000 people, 200 people, no matter what it is. It's data that you have. Some people keep it in a sophisticated data warehouse, and it really depends on the type of business you're running and what you're using the data for. Third-party data is data that's on the market from different vendors. There's different types of third-party data, which we will go over in the next couple slides. We'll start with compiled information, response data, and subscription data. And the third type of data that we have here is enhancements. They're elements that are added to your existing data in order to create a more robust database. Now, there's different approaches for the different stages that your company might be in. For your in-house data, you might not have any data. And no database at all. It could be possible that you have data without a database. We'll go into that and some examples of that in just a minute. Database without data, that's possibly that you're spending a lot of money on a CRM solution, but there's nothing in there. There's sort of a funny story. I was speaking to someone the other day about their Salesforce database, and they were initially disappointed because it didn't come loaded with the data. It's interesting once you understand more, and it didn't take long for this person to understand that a CRM solution is somewhere to put the data. It's not the information itself. Now, my favorite here is a movie reference that I like to use, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and again, we'll get into that in just a couple slides. Now, let's say you have no data, no database. You're doing business. Things are kind of happening all over the place, but you're not tracking, analyzing, keeping anything in a consistent format, and it's not all in one place to look, and you're right there in the middle with a big question mark. You have no idea what's going on. Now, you could have data without a database. You could be communicating with customers or clients, but not writing down what's going on, call dispositions, call logs, that sort of thing. You have your social media tactics. You could have 5,000, 10,000 people that like your Facebook page, but without taking that data and sticking it into the database and looking at who these people are, it's not having somewhere to put it, it could be a big problem. You don't know what's working and what's not. Direct marketing, it's a known direct marketing tactic to source code things. Know where your responses are coming from. There are a number of different agencies out there that, if you're not an actual targeted direct marketing agency, you might not know the reason for doing these things. And in the long run, when you try to analyze the results of your campaign, you realize that maybe you should have put a source code on to begin with. You have your miscellaneous advertising and marketing, and without knowing where the dollars are going and what type of response you're getting, it's there's things going on, but you're not storing it in the database anywhere. And in the end, you're basically looking into a big box and wondering what's going on. Database without data. You have contacts without full information. How many times are you missing a phone number, a fax number, an email address on somebody that's in your even Outlook database? So, you have transactions without contacts. You know that you sold X amount of widgets, but you don't know who you sold them to. Accounts without contacts. I've worked in environments on a Salesforce platform where we got rid of about 12,000 accounts, which weren't really accounts, because someone just dumped in a whole bunch of information, and all it said was Director of Marketing at ABC Company, Director of Finance at ABC Company. And that's why you get a subscription to a service like a Hoover's, which I don't necessarily recommend, but something like that, where you can just find out what the information is for analysis purposes. If you're actually going to do the contacting, you're probably going to want to get something a little bit more robust than that has a little bit more timely information. We'll get into that as well. But having full information is extremely important. Empty CRM tools, I touched on it before. You buy a Salesforce license, doesn't mean you bought the data that goes into Salesforce. So, again, somebody is sitting there just wondering what's going on. So, here's my good, bad, and the ugly situation. You've got to know what's going on here. You've got the good, which is clean, consistent data that you can go through, and even if you don't have all of the additional bits of information that you might want to segment them out, it's still clean and consistent. You've got the bad, which is dirty, incomplete data, and what I refer to as the ugly, because a mix of the two basically makes the good look bad, and it keeps somebody from trusting that any of the information's right. So, to get rid of the ugly, you have to, do a standard NCOA, which is a national change of address. Make sure that everything's standardized, and then when you send things out, you'll find out that a lot of these vendors will they'll have a much better time working with you if you send them clean data. Plus your append rates and your match rates and everything are much better when you have clean data than when they get something that's just not consistent. The title is Get 10,000 Customers in 10 Seconds, so I have to talk about that a bit. It's not going to take 10 seconds, unfortunately, but like I'd mentioned before, that's the person in charge of the workshops at the Angel Capital Summit wanted to get some people in the seats, and definitely saw the importance of this. So, let's run through compiled data, which is, it's basically just information that comes from, different sources, warranty cards, surveys, different areas, public records that, they can put information together, and you do saturation mailings. It's good data to run analysis through. There's different bits of compiled data. You can also get compiled data that's mixed in with predictive modeling. Basically, if I look just like my neighbor, then my neighbor and I probably drive the same sort of car. We can get more into that on some comments and discussions. I love feedback and responses. So please send along any questions, comments, whatever you have. Response lists. That would be somebody that has proven to respond to a direct mail piece, to an email, maybe answered a sweepstakes, whatever it might be. That information, for you as a company, if you send something out and somebody responds, then you own that name, you own the email address, you own whatever that contact is, unless they opt out of getting additional marketing. But for buying something on the open market, there's a per thousand cost a lot of times with the minimum and whatever else. But a response list is going to cost you a little bit more money. It's fairly marginal, but it's going to give you it's going to give you a better response, because these people have proven that they already like to do what you're asking them to do. It's just, it might be a different industry. The next is subscription, association, membership, or attendees lists. It's anybody that subscribes to a magazine. If that magazine is putting their data out on the open market, you might be able to find the Golf Digest people, or the people that read Bon Appetit magazine, or whatever it might be. And we'll get into this in just a second. It's very important to find those touch points, the people that are interested in certain things. Associations, memberships. Let's say you belong to a pipe welders club. They have an association. There might be things that are just completely dedicated to the pipe welders club that it might be a really good idea to market directly to them. It's your best source of response. So that sort of thing. People that attend a conference like the Angel Capital Summit, that sort of. But I was saying before, with your response, or just in general, think about the connections. Golf and Buick. They're fairly synonymous, especially at the Buick Open. There's a bad association a lot of people probably make with a former spokesperson for golf, but the bottom line is, if you watch golf, you're going to see a Buick commercial. Now, Joe Golfer might buy a Buick. It's a very, very strong possibility. The product is thrown in his face. Every time he watches a golf tournament, he might go out and play at a club that a local Buick dealer might have an offshoot of the big Buick Open tournament. It's a connection, so you want to make sure you pay attention to it. Here's another interesting little situation that happened with a company I was working with. You got to connect your dots. ABC Financial Company was the company I was working with. They have heavy equipment dealers that they do business with. There's a benefit to doing business with the financial service for tax reasons, and there's also people that just individually sell to an auction heavy equipment as well. There's a benefit for them also. So a strategic partnership is made between these two groups, and what we noticed by looking at production data, not even marketing data, is that same client of ABC Financial Company was doing business with multiple other auction companies, which means that 99% of the time there was current business going on. But for the other bits of time, there's opportunity that wasn't seen, or it just, they couldn't capitalize on it because of the strategic partnership going over on the left side. So, know where your connections are, and relook at contracts that you have, and do your due diligence. But the data is going to tell you that information. A current auto dealer scenario here. I've got an auto client that has social media going on, direct mail. They're looking into mobile apps. They also have just the regular traffic where people are walking in the door. They're keeping everything in a database right now. They've enhanced their data with some more information, and the dealer principal and I have been going through and looking at that data and finding out all kinds of different things that are going on with that dealership. Now, since the dealer is a numbers guy, more on the forecasting side of things, he knows where all the dollars go for every department, depending on the sales and the volume of the sales and the amount of money that was put into the vehicles. There's the used car department. He's got everything wrapped up as far as knowing what the forecasting is. Now, I looked at things from a different standpoint, just using the marketing information, but also putting some transactional information on the data, and really cleaning out that database and finding out what is the chance that we're really going to sell sell a new vehicle to somebody who bought something and never ever walked back into the dealership in X amount of years. Now, there is a possibility, but how many times have you marketed to them? How many times have you communicated with them? There's a whole bunch of different questions that you can ask, and knowing the data turns it into information. Now, for all of the CFO types, numbers people, the people that are really accountable for the budgets, and especially if there's investors, it's going to be very important that there's some good numbers. And the additional benefit that you might not have thought of before is that there's easy to translate information for operational audits. I just touched on it before with the dealer principal that will look at every department and know the parts department is not selling what they were selling last month. I can just tell by the numbers, and I can tell probably who the person is that was doing that. And this really it goes hand in hand with that same information. You can find out what's going on because you know what you're spending in your marketing. There's nuggets of information that can help with efficiencies. Your service advisors are writing less deals in the auto industry, or you are seeing that the way that you're processing returns in your company or your store is not making people happy. I just had a whole experience with Sony. If you know me, unfortunately you had to listen to my ranting and raving, and I did it in a very diplomatic way, but I solved the whole problem on Twitter. That's something that you want to know. Put it all in your database. There's the creation of accountability measures. You'll know when certain departments, certain people are doing things a certain way. The information's there in the database. It's going to help you run a tighter ship. Also, seasonal trends or possible unforeseen factors. Everybody knows the holiday season is going to be better for retail, but did they know that this other season's just going to be absolutely horrible? Once you start tracking that information and keeping it all in a place where you can just look at a dashboard to find this out, then you're just running more efficiently. Possible unforeseen factors. I was working in a database marketing company for the broadband industry, and 2 years after Katrina hit, it wasn't the top of our mind of that's why subscriptions went down for X period of time. But we could see that they went down. We could see that every time a storm occurs, because of the place that a lot of their cable systems were, that this would happen. So, moving forward, you can plan for hurricane season. Maybe you want to reduce your marketing a bit because you know that storms are going to hit, systems are going to be down, you're going to be making other concessions for people to make up for the fact that these things happen. So why spend your money marketing to people who aren't going to be in a situation to get cable? Now, there's also site marketing information that can come out of this. You sell more red boots at this location than you do at that location. Well, maybe you should stock more. You might see that when you look at your purchasing information in your production database, but if you tie it all together, then you can see all that information in your just overall CRM solution or whatever you're going to use. Even if it's, I'm starting with this new data enhanced marketing as opposed to database marketing. If you're not ready to jump all in, keep track of all the information on Excel spreadsheets. There are definitely places that you can put that information. I can certainly do it in Excel. There's many other people that can do it to look at those trends, because at least you're keeping track of it. And it might not be in real time, but it's something. It's there. So you utilize it. Now, the maintenance, there's always maintenance. A lot of the maintenance is turning the data into information. Data is a pile of unorganized stuff. Information is powerful. It's very valuable, and if you can figure out a way to take that unorganized stuff, clean it up, and make put some power behind it, then you're going to see an increase to the bottom line. Know the good, the bad, the ugly. I've made that reference a few times. I stress the importance of it because I've been in the situation, and starting from a strong foundation versus cleaning and determining what is and is not legitimate it's not very easy to do. Know what you're looking at. Make sure that you're accounting for all your sources. If I worked on another project in a company where the direct mail piece had a splash page, but the company that was facilitating, going between the database marketing company, more the branding company, they convinced the client to not include any web results in the direct marketing, to only include it in the website of things. Well, the only place you could ever, unless someone leaked it, and I don't know, too many people that are leaking websites, but whatever the situation is, they didn't track that as attributed to the database marketing or the direct marketing side of things. They said it came in on the web, so it was the end result, not the source. Took a little bit of wind out of our sails, but luckily we did get a good response rate from the direct marketing. Routinely check for data flow discrepancies. You have to have accountability measures in your data. Working in the broadband industry, we would look at 3-month trends and then paste in the current month and look and see, if something was outside the standard deviation, which again, that's something that is a whole nother seminar or webinar. If we saw anything, we would then look into it. Going back to the Katrina situation. Well, last time that happened was then. Oh, look, it's the same season. There's reasons for that. So you got to check and validate. Create a process to verify. That's exactly what I was just talking about. So hopefully you got a little bit out of just hearing me talk. What I'd really like is to get some feedback on this, and hopefully you just got some ideas. If you benefit from anything that I say, I feel like a better person. So thank you. Sounds corny, but that just is how it is. Now here's some exercises that you can do on your own. Find your target audience. You've got your product and you've got what you think is going on. So, who's your target audience? Primary, secondary, and then your third or tertiary. Write down some characteristics about these people, or the group of people. Write 3 for your primary, 2 for your secondary, and 1 for your tertiary. You're always going to want to test in a certain environment, so just because they're not your primary target doesn't mean you couldn't make them into your primary target. So feel free to send me an email. I can also send you the PDFs of these sheets that you can print out a little easier. Also, answer these questions at your own pace. Do you have data to support your previous answers? Can you segment your data to create specific buckets of leads? List. What are your 3 best sources of leads? Do you even have 3? And do you have more? But what are they? Read through the next 4 examples of how you code your leads in whatever you do, even if it's on a piece of paper. How many steps are there? Who inputs your data? Does each salesperson or does each individual do it on their own? Is it sort of like the freelance example I gave before, or do you have a sales administrator? Does the marketing department, or do you every once in a while hire a temporary to do it? Know if you're missing these opportunities. The missed opportunity before with the financial company that the bottom line is 47% of the business that was data that we can even look at. 47% of that, the clients of that company were doing business with who they had a strategic partnership with. There was, I'm sure you can do your algorithms and put your numbers together and however you do it. But from just a basic standpoint, there's 53% of the business that was going to auctions that was not going through the people that ABC Financial Company had a strategic partnership with. If that's the case, then some part of that 53% without a strategic partnership probably would have been done with ABC Financial Company. But unfortunately, they didn't know it. They didn't look back at their data to identify what was going on there. Moving on, do you have multiple sources of data streams managed by various departments? Is your, in the car business, is your sales department running off a ADP or Reynolds and Reynolds system or whatever it might be? Is your service department running off the same system? Are the two systems talking to each other? You hear about handshakes, again, I'm not a database administrator or an architect, but I know plenty of them, and they can build things in a way that if it's not an out-of-the-box solution, they can make a solution. You don't have to spend a tremendous amount of money to do that, but once you make the money to support it and you understand, then you might want to spend that money. So start off small, end up big. That's my idea. Now, do you have anybody to develop and who understands this process? Do you want to do it yourself, or do you want to have it taken care of? It's a decision that you want to make, because it comes down to a question of time. If you are running a store, do you have time to do the database marketing? Do you have a marketing person that you already work with, and what type of marketing are they doing? Is this something that can easily be plugged in? Just think about these questions, and I'd love to find out what your answers are. So again, send me an email. I appreciate everybody listening. Below is my email address, my telephone number, and my website. I am the Data Diplomat. I'm one of the only people I know that has a logo for my title, but it's a very cool thing. I like to work together in conjunction with other things that are going on, collaborate, and that's what a diplomat does. So please feel free, drop me a line, let me know anything you want to know. Let me know if this seminar is something that you learned something about your business, or something that you want to learn more about. So again, let me know any way I can help. This is John Wilkins signing off from the parking lot of where eventually a gigantic IKEA is going to be. I feel bad for the furniture store that just opened up not too far from here, but it's about time we get an IKEA. Data will definitely show that they needed it in this area. So anyway, again, I hope you have a great day, and thank you for listening.